That Don't Sound Right is a podcast about talking the way we did before the internet, when you could not prove anyone right or wrong.
All the expertise was contained in the people involved with the conversation. I'm Peter.
I'm Cecil, and I hope you enjoy our conversations. And as you listen, if you find yourself silently saying, that don't sound right, send us a comment. You're one of us.
It came down the tree. It came across the grass.
Right.
It jumped through the aluminum window.
Wow.
Into the house.
Right.
And bounced down the center of the hallway. Hey, Cecil.
Hey, Peter.
Hey, how's it going?
Good.
Well, it's good to be back in the Camel City recording studio and carport. We are actually in the studio, also known as your dining room.
That's right. In Camel City.
Yep, it's good to be back to our That Don't Sound Right podcast. Welcome, everyone. Welcome the TSR community, and welcome those who are new to it. I don't know how you found us, but we're happy you're here.
There was someone that's listening now in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, I think is how you pronounce it.
Is that an island? Is that
I think it's islands, yeah. I don't know who that is. Whoever you are, write us and let us know who you are.
Well, I'm starting to wonder if it's people that listen to us regularly and they're going on vacation.
Right.
And then when they go to their vacation location, say that 3 times real fast. When they go to their vacation location, they're there during a Saturday and the podcast downloads and it looks like we have a listener there.
That's a good one. We have one in Russia right now.
Now, I can't imagine anyone vacationing in Russia. I'm trying to think. Did we do a we had a podcast where we mentioned Russia, didn't we? Did we mention something?
I don't think so.
Maybe
because that goes back to your theory that if we have a title or a word that searches and comes up in Google,
yes,
that's why you think ozone's so popular.
Yeah. Well, I think also this voice recognition. So I'm sure there's bots out there listening to podcasts, and they're actually listening for keywords, and then that flags the podcast, and then someone in a interested country listens to it. So the fact that we just mentioned Russia here probably is going to alert the bot, and then we're going to see another listener in Russia. They're going to be wondering, what are these crazy Americans doing talking about Russia on their podcast?
That'd be interesting to see if another one pops up. But we've really got a fairly international listenership now, just based on the stats.
China.
Did we pick one up in China?
China. No, I'm seeing if the bot will send over to China. We'll see if that works.
Yeah. Well, we have friends that do adoption in China, so then maybe we'll carry it into China.
All right. Well, we'll see.
But now you've done quite a bit of traveling since we last recorded.
Yeah. I put about 1,600 miles on our vehicle.
Yeah.
I hadn't changed the battery yet, but I'm going to this week because I'm taking another trip.
You did change the spark plugs, though.
I did change the spark plugs. And, I did not use this. This is going to start boring some people. I did not use the original manufacturer of the spark plug. There's two manufacturers of spark plugs that are generally acceptable in Toyotas. I used the other one. And let me tell you, I saw a difference in fuel economy.
Really?
It dropped a hair.
One is the NKG?
Yep. NGK.
Right.
And the other one's Denso.
I've not used Denso. I always use NGK.
Use the NGKs. I switched to Densos, and I'm seeing... The
Densos you're saying are better?
I think the NGKs are better, yeah.
Oh, you think the NGKs are better?
Yeah, because I think my fuel economy dropped off, especially at low speeds and low RPMs.
Yeah, the NGKs are recommended from a Honda.
Yep. I wish I'd done that.
But so you were saying that you were going to change your battery because you don't want it going dead, as you've said in the past, in the summer, because you don't want to make sure you make it to your international flight.
I got an international flight that I got to make sure I make when I get up to DC. So I want to have this trip in my hands,
right,
and not in the battery's hands.
Well, you said China.
There goes the bot again.
The bot again. The China air flight inside China, domestic air travel inside China, is really good.
Is it really?
Yeah. So I know that you want to have this trip in your control so that these southeastern storms do not derail it, and it's all in your hands.
That's right.
But yeah,
I have a really tight connection in Dublin, Ireland.
Dublin.
I should make an experiment. This is the experiment I'm going to do. I'm not going to download the podcast on purpose until I get to Dublin.
Oh, good idea.
And let's see what happens. Let's see if we get a listener, quote unquote, from Dublin.
Do you know that Dublin's the fastest growing city in the world?
No.
Yeah, it's Dublin every day.
That don't sound right.
No, sorry.
The dad joke alert.
No, actually, it's my dad's joke.
Is it really?
Yeah, because he's from near Dublin, North Carolina. So Dublin, North Carolina is the fastest growing town in
I see.
It's Dublin every day.
It's a bad North Carolina joke, is what it was.
So, I had a buddy of mine and his family came up a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
And it came up, and it just so happened that while they were here, we had a storm.
Sure. We get these here in North Carolina, these big thunderstorms that produce lightning and thunder, heavy rain, sometimes hail.
Right. And so we're sitting here, and it was about time for Chrissy to get her shower, and it started a storm, and she said, I need to jump in the shower before it starts storming.
Yes, I've been told that you should not be in a storm, a lightning storm. You should not be in the shower during a lightning storm. My mom was very adamant about that.
Exactly. I know. And so I have always said that don't sound right.
Okay, yeah.
Because there's no way for you to get shocked in the shower. And I'll explain why. But the reason this was so great that this came up at this particular moment with my buddy sitting here is he is a lightning expert. He did his graduate work in lightning.
Wait a minute. Is he a meteorologist?
No. He's an electrical engineer. But he
so
did
there's
some of his graduate work.
There's another thing that don't sound right.
I forget all the ins and outs. I have to ask him. But he did some of his graduate work in the study of lightning. Okay.
I guess maybe to support his electrical engineering career.
Yeah. So it was part. I can't remember what it was, but I knew that he had experience with lightning, and so I knew this was the moment to debunk this myth. What I think is a myth.
Yes.
So we started talking about it. So here's why I think you can't get struck by lightning in a shower. But he brought up a really good point that I hadn't thought of.
All right.
Okay. So if lightning hits a water line.
Okay.
It's being conducted by the water, right? Or it could be conducted by the line itself, right? So coming in, this is a 1960s era house,
right?
So I've got cast iron coming into the house,
right?
All right. So if it strikes, it's not like I've got plastic from the road to the house, which wouldn't conduct,
right?
But in that case, the water could conduct.
Sure, the water conducts.
Okay. All right. So
fun fact: did you know pure water does not conduct electricity?
I didn't know that.
It's the minerals in the water that's conducting electricity. Pure water does not conduct electricity. Another chemistry little factoid. Aren't you a chemistry guy?
I'm a chemistry guy,
on,
but I'm getting ready to say that don't sound right. Pure water doesn't conduct electricity.
We might have to come back to this.
We might have to come back to
this. This might have come from my science teacher that said salt could be round.
Salt could be round. So the reason I say you can't get struck in the shower is because if it comes in through the water line, most houses that were built in the era that I was thinking about, in the 60 era's houses, do you know how they grounded them?
Big old piece of rebar into the ground and a copper wire clamped to the water line coming into the house.
Right. Yeah. It was grounded through the water line.
Yeah.
And so sometimes they would ground it instead of running the ground properly out to the outside ground, they would ground it inside the house to a water line.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
Right.
Yeah. Okay,
yeah. So the ground,
the water line is the ground.
The water line is the ground.
Yeah,
that should not be the case. It should go to the rebar that's in the ground.
Yeah, right.
Right. But in a lot of cases, they would ground them to a water line.
I think my house is like that.
Right. This house was like that.
Okay.
And so, but when I moved in, I had the ground changed.
Okay.
And so, but I always thought that there was no way if it came in, for it to make it all the way to the shower head, because there's too many places along the line that lightning could go to ground. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes perfectly good sense.
So that's why I always thought that. But my buddy...
Hold on, let me just expand on that.
Okay.
I mean, you're talking about completing a circuit, right?
Right.
So the circuit is the water coming through the house, going through the shower head, going through your body.
Yes.
Then going into the drain.
Yes.
And then back outside the house, because that would complete the circuit.
Right.
But usually it's a shorter distance between the water main and the sewer main for it even to make it in the house, and you can't complete the ground. The circuit. You can't complete the circuit.
Exactly.
So you're never going to be in the circuit.
Right.
But
what?
But there's got to be another way for that electricity. There's other ways for that electricity to flow through the house and get to you, whether you're in the shower or not.
Yes. You're actually at more danger, I think, from other things in the house than you are in the shower. I don't know why I'm pointing at you while I'm talking, but because he actually had an example of someone standing next to a dishwasher, lightning hit, ran in on the dishwasher, and then jumped from the dishwasher to the person.
See? Okay.
Right.
All right.
So it further supports my theory.
Right.
But
what did he say?
He overall, I think, agreed with what I said.
All right.
But for a certain age house.
Oh.
Because, and I hadn't thought about this, newer houses are plumbed with PEX and PVC.
Sure.
So now, as it comes into the house, it's being completely conducted by the water. There's no conduction in the pipe.
Right.
Because the PEX won't carry the current.
Right, and they're not using the pipe, but
and they're not using it for ground, so there's nowhere for it to ground out in the system.
Right, but how's the electricity even get to the water then?
Well, it depends on where it hits.
Well, how's it?
So that would be the big question: is how was it energized to begin with?
Right. So how?
But if the water's energized, then yes, I would say if it was a newer construction with PEX plumbing, then you're in danger because there's no way for it to ground out. But if it's an older house like yours and mine, it's going to ground out.
So, if the water, in your example, does the lightning strike the house and then come through the pipes, or does the lightning strike the ground and it comes through the pipes?
I would think it would strike the ground. I've known someone who got struck that way.
See, I'm not seeing how the electricity, the lightning in your PEX example, the plastic pipe example.
Right.
How does the lightning get to the water?
It would have to hit somewhere else. It would have to hit a line somewhere else and energize the water.
Yes.
Right.
But the circuit would be completed well outside of the house.
Potentially.
It wouldn't even make it in.
Right. Potentially.
I don't think.
So you think you're safe in a PEX house?
I don't think a PEX house has anything that would has any additional danger to it.
Right. Well, I still say that you're in more danger from other appliances than you are from the water system.
I think you're just in danger in general. So here's a story.
Yeah.
Here's a story. So my grandmother lived in Florida, and she had a lot of tall pine trees. And there's a story where these pine trees got struck. The lightning came down the tree. It came across the grass.
Right.
It jumped through the aluminum window.
Wow.
Into the house.
Right.
And bounced down the center of the hallway. And the only reason I believe this is true because they had to change the carpeting.
Really?
It was scorched. It went straight down that hallway, out another bedroom, and out the house.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
I mean, I don't know how that happened, but it did. It started at the tree, it jumped across the grass through an aluminum window, arced down to the ground, ran down the hallway, arced back onto another aluminum window, out the house, grounded, it was done.
That's interesting.
No water pipes involved.
No PEX involved. Yeah, I think you're in more danger just from lightning than you are from being in the shower.
Lightning is just a bad...
In fact, I think you might actually be safer.
In the shower?
Yeah, I've actually challenged people. Well, no, I don't know that you're safer, but I've challenged people to find me an article.
That's a good point.
Any type of reference that shows that someone has been shocked or electrocuted in the shower due to a lightning strike through the water.
I would like, yes, maybe it would be great if the Weather Channel would pick this up, this question.
That's right. Maybe we should say Weather Channel over and over and over.
Weather Channel.
The bot will pick it up.
That's right.
So did you have words of wisdom for tonight?
Yeah, it is a little out of context, but
well, that's for the
okay.
Show.
Yeah. We talk about being in awkward situations.
Yes.
Places that make us feel uncomfortable, like in the shower during a lightning storm. Some of us feel very comfortable with that. Others people don't. Right. But the word of wisdom is not a matter of getting out of one's comfort zone, but it's a matter of making one's comfort zone larger. That you feel more comfortable in a larger context than just stepping out of your content.
I think that fits.
Your comfort zone.
I'm trying to get people to accept my thoughts on lightning and getting out of their comfort zone with lightning and water.
Well, my mom would not be convinced.
Well,
she would say, "Do not get in the shower during a lightning storm."
I remember, like my grandparents, you would like cut everything off. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you kind of sit in the middle of the house. You definitely wouldn't touch the telephone, which I do believe is a big conductor of electricity.
Yeah, I can see that.
The landlines.
Yep.
You kind of sat still until the storm passed, and then everything came.
They would really do that.
Yeah, I mean, you weren't near windows, you weren't near appliances.
What happened of the days of the lightning rod?
I don't know.
You know, I don't have cable TV anymore, but my cable that runs into the house has a copper wire coming off the junction box, going into the ground.
Yep.
I mean, why don't we put lightning rods on our houses anymore?
It's a good idea.
I mean, if you really want to be certain, you put a rod at the highest point. Run a wire all the way down to a piece of rebar.
Yep.
You can intersect it with your copper pipe, your electrical box, and
ground it
and be done with it.
Yep.
And then you can just go about your business, except for maybe the telephone.
Well, that's why the water line grounds are so dangerous, is because as you moved out of the era of metal plumbing, people would come in there and put a piece of PVC in between the ground and the ground.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden your system's not grounded.
You don't have the ground anymore.
Yeah. So that's why code.
Oh no, that's not entirely accurate because the water conducts the electricity.
Well, it could. Yeah.
Yeah. Unless it's pure water.
But you were dependent on the metal to conduct the ground. Right.
Yeah, but now
now you've broken that.
Yeah, but you have the water. You still have the water that serves the ground, right?
Yeah, but this isn't for lightning. This is for the power in the house.
Yeah, no, I got you.
Yeah.
But that would still work, wouldn't it?
Not if it's broke. Not if the line is broke.
The water's not enough to serve as the ground.
Well, because I think it's not conducting it through the water. It's conducting it through the metal.
But if the water...
if you energize the water, then technically, but then you have...
But if the water's touching the metal...
Right.
And I energize the metal.
Right.
Then I, in turn, energize that water.
Right.
It can skip that piece of plastic that someone stuck in there, join up with the other piece of metal that's in the ground, and then ground out.
Right. I see your logic. But I think that's why they changed the code, though. You can't ground it on a water line anymore.
Can you not? How do they do it now?
You have to ground it to the ground. It's got to be
Okay.
Some electrician is out there saying that don't sound right.
Man, I feel. Yes. I mean, someone's
99% sure I'm correct on that.
Someone's taking their multimeter and chucking it out the window. Is what they're doing.
And I hope I have not misquoted my friend from Alabama.
Well, does he listen?
He has listened. Yeah, okay. He does listen. Yeah. Right. So maybe he'll write in.
He'll send us a nasty gram, some fan mail, as we call it.
Well, you have come to the end of another. That don't sound right.
Well, just like lightning striking, that don't sound right.
So if you haven't bought a T-shirt yet, go buy a T-shirt.
Yes, they're attractive yet practical too, especially in these hot days.
Yep.
Another fun thing to have is a don't sound right pint glass.
Yes.
Which we might have to invoke here pretty soon.
Yes. So go there. If not, if you don't want to do that, then share us on your social media. Help drive up our listenership.
Yeah, tell a friend.
Don't download it till you're in a foreign country, so we think we have a listener in wherever you're traveling to this summer.
Yeah, I'd be curious. Maybe someone could chime in and say, yeah, they did this, and we can see what country. But I'll do that experiment.
Yeah.
That'd be very interesting.
Well, like I said, we had one from St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
I need to look that up because I know someone is on a sailing trip. That might be...
That would make us ping all around the globe.
Yes, that's right.
Well, we hope that y'all will keep talking.
And stay curious.